Alright, today we're playing Outlast Trials, and I actually played Outlast a few months ago. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. But yeah, this is basically just like an online version of it, so let's get right into it. To set the story of what we'll be playing through, we have to go back to 1959 during the Cold War. This takes place before the first Outlast, but it's the same company, Murkoff, and they're spreading word of a better life. After falling for the lie, we're brought to the lab where we unconsensually agree to all of their experiments, and then have night vision goggles drilled into our skull. We're then able to customize what our reagent looks like, and I create this handsome devil. After creating our character, we end up waking up inside of our first trial that takes place in some sort of mansion. And Murkoff begins their brainwashing program by trying to make us forget everything that's happened in our life. And fairly early on, we're introduced to one of the first killers that will be in this facility, Mother Gooseberry, and don't worry, you'll see plenty of her later. We then are told to take both of our public and private records and shred them, basically erasing our existence. After completing that, we're then transferred to the sleep room, which is where, well, you sleep of course, and also if you like arm wrestling, we got something for you too. But without wasting too much time, I decided it was time to get straight into the action, and we get to meet our first friend of the video, Coyle. After sneaking past him, we find the snitch, which we're informed that we need to execute, so as we go to push him, the power ends up going out. We then go to the basement where we find a generator that restores the power. We push the snitch a little further until we end up coming to this locked door, which we find we need a key for, and we also find that the keys are in dead bodies, and we have to look for the corresponding symbol in order to find the key, and we have to do this a few different times. We then push the snitch all the way into this chamber where we electrocute him to death, and after we're done doing that, we end up leaving the trial. We then head back to the sleeping room where we're graded on our performance. In the sleep room, we're told to meet with the engineer, who gives us a rig that we can use in every trial, and I end up picking the jammer, which can hack into things. It was the wrong decision, so I change later, don't worry. In Outlast Trials, there's a few main missions and then a bunch of smaller missions. I'll go in depth on the bigger missions, and I'll kind of skim through the smaller missions starting here. In this section, we had to dig into bodies in order to find keys to put evidence in a grinder, take gasoline through a map in order to start a generator, shred Murkoff evidence, find drugs, and stash them into dead bodies. If you haven't picked up on it by now, this game's a little dark, and it really shows you the diversity of this channel, because the last video I did was Minecraft. For the next main area of the game, we go to a trial that's located at the orphanage. Once arriving inside the orphanage, we change all the radios to play the religious station, as well as change all the films to be religious films for the children to look at. And when I say that, the majority of people in this game are mannequins, just so you know. And upon arriving in the cafeteria, things really start to go downhill. We see someone nailed to a cross. We're then prompted to power up a generator and find keys to the saw handles. And don't say that I didn't warn you, because this game is disturbing. We end up cutting off his legs and then feeding it to everyone in the cafeteria. And then we make a run for it with Mother Gooseberry very close by. Some of the smaller trials throughout this section included making bleach soup, everyone's favorite, returning a child to his family, which just so happened to be a saw blade. And for this one, just watch the clip because I don't feel like explaining what they told us to do here. But it wasn't all bad, because it made for some funny clips throughout the way. And in the same mission, we also got our first trophy for spending a total of 1 hour crouched. And after that, I was thirsty to get another trophy, so I loaded into a match and slid repeatedly until I got this trophy for sliding for a total of 2 minutes. And not long after, we meet back up with Mother Gooseberry at our next trial location, the amusement park. And in order to progress through the amusement park, we have to throw hearts at different targets throughout the map and play different little mini games in order to get a ticket so we can advance. After getting the ticket, we end up leaving and then are greeted by children in a boat, and the game informs us that they want us to punish them, so we push them into a giant fucking grinder. That'll show them. In this trial, they have us deal with more bad children by sending them through grinders, and also they have us kill Mr. Futterman, aka Mother Gooseberry's father.
Oh, there it is. Hey, John, take a photo.
For our next major trial, we go to the courthouse where we see the judge is tied up and has a bag over their head. And we're in court because they're accusing them of some small things like, torture and murder, things of that nature. And with us being the model citizen that we are, we decide that we're going to destroy all the evidence so that we can get the case dismissed. And we start by taking the first case of evidence, a whole human head, and dumping it into this fountain and then pouring acid on top of it. But why stop there when we can also kill the witnesses? FBI, please don't watch this video. The case ends up getting dismissed due to a lack of evidence, wonder how that happened, and they decide to take it out on the judge, so we proceed to let the hammer of justice do its thing. In Outlast Trials, as you do some of the missions, you unlock these blue tokens, which you can later use for a rebirth, which basically means it's an attempt to escape. They let you do one more mission, and if you do it well, they'll let you back out into the real world. And let's just say this is no ordinary mission. You have 3 different objectives you have to complete. You get put on a random map, and yeah, overall it's just tougher in general. Up to this point, I hadn't failed any missions, and well, this one I failed 3 different times. But on the 4th attempt, we were given a new map, and the challenges were to match all of these mannequins. We had to color code them and find where they belong. Find these 3 different frequency machines, with each one saying a different thing, one saying spider, one saying eye, and one saying lamb. The next challenge was each person finding their own files and dropping it off at the start of the map. And shortly after dropping off those files, I got this trophy for sprinting for 1 hour. And after the 4th and final color-coded mannequin, we were finally able to leave the trial. And after being released from the Murkoff facility, we basically find out that our characters were completely brainwashed, and we also find out that they use us in order to stage the suicide of a public leader. And with one reagent being gone, it's time to introduce our second reagent of the video. And with the new reagent means new trophies, including this one I got for getting 15 different evidences, which is basically exactly the same how it worked in Outlast 1. This trophy for collecting and using 100 different batteries for my night vision goggles. And also this trophy for completing 25 different therapies. For the next big area, we're at a toy factory where we find this guy who's spoken badly about Murkoff, and because of that, we have to teach him a lesson. After finding a key, we're able to progress him through the toy factory. And along the way, we had to find specific parts throughout the factory, as well as turn some valves, and we ended up burning him. And as we were leaving the trial, I got this trophy for placing down 100 rigs, and at this point I had switched my rig to the mine, which if enemies step over, it stuns them. And during the smaller trials, they ended up separating us into groups of 2.
Oh, thank God.
They chose who they wanted to separate.
Thank God.
Alright, Gabe, we gotta figure this out together.
You gotta be shitting me! Oh, you gotta be shitting me!
Oh.
For the next main trial, it takes place at the docks, and we also end up meeting our new killer. His name is Franco, and he's some little weird baby man thing. In this trial, they have us do our best El Chapo impersonation and make some drugs. But in order to unlock some of the areas we need to go during this trial, we have to find these symbols and line them up in order to get a code. After having everything we need, we're able to cut all the drugs up, put it into the system, put poison into the drugs, and then have all these mannequins package it for us. We then take all of the poison drugs, cut open some dead bodies, and then put all of the poison drugs inside of them to be packaged. Our next trial area was in the suburbs, and upon arriving, we quickly learned that we need to find 4 different clues in order to find the mannequin we need. After matching this frequency, we get our first clue that it's a female mannequin, and after getting all the clues, we find out that it's a female mannequin and it also has a drill on its hand. And after finding this mannequin, we're able to take it back to the spawn where we throw it in the back of the van and then leave. While doing the smaller challenges in this section, I got this trophy for hiding in 100 different areas. Also in the side challenges of this section, we end up infecting this guy with different STDs. How does the developers even come up with these ideas? Also while doing the side missions, I threw this absolute piss missile at this guy's head to get a trophy for getting 50 headshots. And just like that, we're on to our next trial, which was at the town hall. And shortly after arriving, I got this trophy for doing 50 different co-op moves. After arriving at the town hall, we find these secret numbers, which will open up the panic room. And after opening the panic room, we find the person that they call the union leader in there. We end up escorting him throughout the city until we escort him to this little area where he goes into this chamber. Once in there, we're instructed to find different symbols throughout the facility in order to hit and make blood drop onto him until he drowns. In the next small trial, we do our best politician act and get everyone's votes, where they all vote against freedom. Surprise, surprise. After doing all those trials, I had another opportunity to do a rebirth with all the tokens I'd gotten. And ironically, the mission they gave us is the one we did just a few ago. So, after finding our records and taking them to spawn, setting up the 3 frequencies, and finding the correct mannequin, and after leaving, we both went on to hurt a politician. Wow, these guys are some real characters. And for the last trial that I'm going to cover in this video, we went to the shopping center. While there, we had to go into individual stores to find fuses, and once we obtained the fuses, we used them to open the main doors throughout the mall. In one of the stores, we had to win a ticket, and in order to win the ticket, we had to spend $40 total. And after obtaining the ticket, we were finally allowed to go to the main event. And if there's one thing I've learned about playing Outlast Trials, it's that they always one-up themselves with how sadistic it gets. So, yeah, this time we ended up spraying acid all over a politician. And on the way out, I wanted to run faster, so I popped this adrenaline, and I ended up getting a trophy for using 50 total. And at this point, you may notice that I haven't even obtained half the trophies, and the video's almost over. Well, that's because this is officially the cleanup part of this, and basically to get all these trophies, you kind of had to play bad, and not to brag, but I just didn't do that bad. The first one we got was for kicking 50 enemies off of teammates. After farming for about 30 minutes, I got 2 trophies, one for reviving a friend 50 times, and one for going down 50 times. After purposely locking this door and then blasting through it, I got this trophy for doing that 50 times. After throwing this bottle, I got a trophy for hitting 100 different enemies with throwables. This one for picking up 1,000 total items. This one for distracting 50 different enemies. Unlocking 100 different containers with a lockpick. Spending 600 seconds in full psychosis. Using 50 rig rechargers. Disarming 50 different trapdoors. Using 100 antidotes to cure psychosis. Spending 10 hours in night vision. This one took forever. Exiting 10 trials without taking any damage. Using 200 medicines. And then finally our last trophy for losing 1,000 health points. And following right after it is the platinum trophy. Overall, I really did enjoy playing this game. I will say if you do go for the platinum, the ending grind can be a little bit much and it's super repetitive, but the game itself is super fun and I would recommend at least giving it a shot, especially if you have a group of 4 people you can run it with. But as always, if you guys did enjoy the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what game you want to see next. Peace.
Bro went to the fake fireplace to go get warm.
I thought it would work.